TV. You'll see I'm not alone in the studio today, which always makes me happy on a Monday. I got a friend with me. I call him Bootstrap, but he's known as William Turner, too. He is with the Mississippi Food Network, which is helping to solve our hunger crisis here in Mississippi. So welcome, Bootstrap.
Hello.
Okay, so first, because I know you as Bootstrap. I've known you as Bootstrap for almost 7 years now. How did you get the nickname?
Well, I was in ROTC in college, and it kind of stuck. Pirates of the Caribbean was big, William Turner. And when I was in ROTC at Mississippi State, that's just what they started calling me, and it stuck.
And it stuck. Hey, you know what? There are worse ways to get a nickname. And now that you say that, I was like, yeah, I know that Bootstrap Turner from somewhere. I just didn't pair it together with it being Pirates of the Caribbean. But pretty cool. I mean, how often do you see an actual William Turner? So
That's
I can
right.
see where that stuck. Okay, so you're fixing to celebrate your 7-year anniversary with the Mississippi Food Network, which is a long time in that sort of space and genre. I feel like most folks should know who Mississippi Food Network is, but sadly not everybody does. So how do you explain, Bootstrap, to people what the organization does?
Well, our primary purpose is to alleviate hunger-related poverty in Mississippi. We manage donations for Feeding America for 56 counties. We're actually the only food bank that's located inside the state of Mississippi. We have such a huge service area, but we have roughly 600,000 people that go to bed not knowing where their food is going to come from day to day. We do our best to make sure that people have the opportunity to have something to eat.
And when you say the only food bank, folks may go, there's one in my neighborhood, and you're absolutely right. But the Food Network is like the hub.
Yeah.
It sort of comes in and then disperses out its food and donations to member agencies. So, using the terminology is sort of the same, but they help supply your food banks in your local community, or they should. And if not, they need to get connected with those that are doing that. How many member agencies does the Food Network have?
430, I do believe, is the number that we're looking at. It's in that, but that includes churches, food pantries. That includes soup kitchens, group homes, disaster agencies. There are a lot of different people who have the ability to do different things in every community. A church may be able to serve a certain amount of people because they have so many volunteers. So they handle that. You also have like soup kitchens that may serve 10, 15,000 meals a month, cooked, hot meals to people. So it varies from agency to agency. From agency to agency, yeah.
And they know their communities best.
That's right.
And even the organizations who run, and they may want to run the way that they administer their ministry of giving food however they want to. Not everybody has the ability to cook hot meals, and then some folks just don't want to.
That's right. That's true.
And then others recognize that they would be best served by giving out boxes or fresh food or all of that. You have an interesting, position there, though, at the Food Network. You like rescue food is sort of the way I sort of look at it. We've had Society St. Andrews on before, Bootstrap, that goes out and actually rescues the fresh vegetables literally from, the fields, from the farmers.
They glean straight from the field. They glean,
yes. So you're a little bit different. Explain kind of your job there at the network.
Well, my primary role is food sourcing manager. Basically, what I do is I work with partner organizations that are partnered with Feeding America, like Walmart and Kroger and Sam's Club and Aldi and Dollar General. And did I say Kroger already? And I work with these groups to rescue food that would have otherwise be sent to organics or rendering. And if it's handled in a certain way and handled properly, we can get it to our member agencies and they can distribute it because it's going to be able to be utilized fast enough before it's actually bad. Because a store's idea of bad might not just be pretty. It's just not pretty enough to be next to the piece that's not pretty, if that makes sense. Right. If you've got a bell pepper that's got a few wrinkles on it, it's not going to sell next to the one that's perfectly crisp and nice and everything like that. But there's nothing wrong with the product. It's food that's at the end of its life. But it's food that we're able to move quickly because our agencies are able to do so.
And you do this through, I guess, building these relationships throughout the state with these retailers.
That's right.
And you're doing them a favor in a way by getting rid of it without it just going to the trash.
Well, as soon as it goes to organics or rendering is for animal products. Organics is usually what they call it for plant-based items. Those are very labor-intensive. They're very expensive programs for these stores. So when, if you can save a store $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year, that's an employee, or two, or bonuses, or lots of things that the store's bottom line that's just cut right off. Why? Because we're able to pick it up for free. That right there, and our agencies are willing to do that. We've had, since we first started the program back in 2000 and what was 7 years ago?
Math is hard, but it would be, that's 2016, no, 2017.
Yeah, 16. You were there when I was hired. On the board. So you're one of the reasons I have a job.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it. We were accounting for about 1.2 million pounds of food. Now the program has grown to where we're accounting for about close to 6 million pounds of rescued food every year. So, if you do the math on 6 million, you're looking at about 5.2 million meals provided to the community that would have otherwise been landfilled.
Right. So. Which is sad, which it goes back to, it's just sort of like a system thing. You would think that a better system would be put in place, but sadly, when you're thinking about something that large, there's just room for gray area. And so when you can come in and kind of help and connect those dots, then the food at least doesn't get wasted or doesn't just get thrown out. It can be utilized for those that need it best. To me, it's coming full circle.
That's right.
Is allowing it to sort of come full circle. You mentioned Bootstrap whenever So do you sit and when you get a call from one of your retailers, is it how quick is the pickup versus to the delivery of the food sort of ish?
Well, what I do is I'm kind of an intermediary. Is I work as a go-between between the agency that's on the ground, that's the one that's actually serving the community, and the store and the food bank. So what I'll do is I'll set up a local agency with a Walmart, or with a Kroger or a Sam's Club, Aldi, one of these stores, and they will set themselves up on a schedule to where they go and they pick up. And every month, these agencies have distribution days. They also do emergency boxes and things of that nature. If you get a whole bunch of bananas, something like that might need to move quickly. So the agencies know who their clientele are, who they're serving, so they know who would want these things, and they're able to move it faster. We used to actually send our trucks to a lot of these stores to pick up, and we ended up throwing away as much as we were distributing out of the distribution center.
Because time is valuable.
Time is valuable on this,
especially with perishable goods.
Yeah, and that's actually where we focus. We don't really focus as much on dry goods as we used to. We focus on things like meat products, dairy, bakery items, fresh produce. These are the things we're trying to rescue because once they hit their shelf life, it's time for them to go. And there's two choices. One, you can throw it away, or two, you can donate it. And then the agency will glean through it again to make sure that it's still
safe,
still safe, and because all of our agencies have to go through food safety training.
And then you got to imagine the people on the other end who have the opportunity when they've fallen on hard times or maybe whatever their struggle may be to actually be able to turn around and give their kids or their families or be of elderly age to actually get a warm hot meal versus not one that come from a box or one that you would want to serve your family.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I mean, imagine you get a store donates some pizzas, some frozen pizzas. The child at the home doesn't understand why he or she cannot have a pizza night like the rest of the kids. But if the parent is able to provide a pizza night, it's more than just food on the table. It hits deeper than that.
It's a little bit of normalcy.
That's right.
It sort of provides that opportunity for everybody. And I think those are the kinds of stories that we need to hear whenever we see opportunities support the Mississippi Food Network, especially as we come up around the holidays. I know there will be a lot of options to give turkeys and give back in that way. So we'll keep this conversation going with William Turner, Bootstrap, coming up next. But we're continuing our conversation with William Turner. He goes by Bootstrap at the Mississippi Food Network, which helps to serve 56 counties, as you mentioned, here in Mississippi to help bridge that gap and to help alleviate, you said, food-related poverty, or I guess poverty or hunger related to poverty. You hear the word food insecurity a lot, Bootstrap. How do you guys define that, or how do you help people better understand the difference between hunger and then food insecurity?
Food insecurity is basically not knowing where your meal could come from. A lot of people are just one paycheck away from not knowing where their meals are going to come from. So, I like to use this as a point of reference. If you're a hard worker and you go to work every week, but something happens to your car, and then all of a sudden you have to pay your entire paycheck to get whatever it is fixed so you can go to work. Well, what do you do then? At that point, you've become food insecure. You were actually food insecure beforehand.
Because it was so fragile.
It was very fragile. So, and that's how I personally kind of look at it. There's probably a fancier definition out there.
I think that's a good one.
But it's basically a fragility that's there that you don't know is there until it happens.
And then you want to make sure that they have somewhere to go to sort of help bridge that gap.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what folks also need to, better understand, that it's not like a continuous monthly sort of support system. It's just those sort of emergency opportunities or emergency moments within families who just need that help. Again, bridging sort of that gap sort of through it. And y'all do that through a variety of different programs. I know you were talking about your program where you help rescue the food from the retailer stores. But what are some of the other ways that the Food Network, through their strategic programming, helps with that throughout the state?
Well, we also have, we work closely with the USDA. We have CSOP, which are the senior boxes that a lot of people have heard about. And they just call them senior boxes. But we also do backpack programs. We do summer feeding through our programs department. And there's several other things. We also have external affairs where they do things like this. This is normally not my thing, but I'm here. And it's actually kind of fun.
We don't bite.
But we do public events like next month. We have the Turkey Drive on the 16th.
Which is a huge event, which
That's
I think
right.
most folks will be starting to hear about throughout the state. There'll be different opportunities to help support that. And that's a big deal every year. There's a lot of family as well as organizations that bank on folks participating in turkey drives. How does that work?
Well, we're going to be set up at 4 different locations this year. We're going to be set up at Clinton Kroger, 55, 51, and Spillway. All Kroger locations, because Kroger's a huge partner with us. They do a lot for the food bank. We'll have trucks there. People can go in, buy a turkey, then bring it to us. But if you don't want to spend $20, $30 on a turkey or however much they are this year, depending on what they are, we take canned goods. We'll take ramen noodles and everything in between. Because we can turn around and still utilize it and get it to our agencies. But we'll be there all day from sunrise to sundown. It's usually from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. It's
a fun day.
Oh, yeah, it is. It's a lot of fun.
And you get to know that you sort of help to, again, you use that, you use this story, Bootstrap, of like the child who maybe sees other friends having their pizza nights. And to us, that seems silly, right? Like, but you forget what it's like to be a 7, 8-year-old, 9-year-old who gets excited about, Friday night pizza, which parents know now that your parents were just really tired by the end of the week. And so they just gave you pizza on Friday because they didn't want to have to cook anything. But kids get really excited about it. So it's a win-win. But it's kind of the same thing with the turkey, right? I mean, you see all the media, or you just sort of hear all the hype about Thanksgiving, and it's a turkey with all the trimmings.
Movies.
But if you grow up
there.
and you never have one, you may feel like there's an opportunity there to create memories and feed, which I think are two really good
That's
things
right.
with that.
A lot of times people will bring us a bag, but it'll be like everything that you'd have on the table. Whether it be stovetop or some kind of stuffing mix, be some gravy, there'd be some canned vegetables, and then they'll buy a turkey, and it's a prepackaged box for Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas. Those things are needed then as well. But like I said, we'll take everything in between. But people will also take monetary donations. This year, I think what they're doing is they're going to have these laminated cards where people can scan with their phones and do a donation that way. So it's going to be, that's something new we're doing. Stacy Kane and Stacy Joyner, that's something they came up with for this year. So that's going to be new. But yeah, we'll have volunteers from all walks of life, all organizations will come. We usually have people from various radio shows come. We also have people from, we usually have folks from Nissan.
The whole community gets involved because it's a big deal, and it feels good to sort of give back, particularly around, the holidays. Bootstrap, you've been with the Mississippi Food Network for 7 years now. What are some of the biggest misconceptions you wish other people better understood about the organization, but then also about the people that they serve?
Well, I mean, ultimately, the people that we serve, it trickles down from us to the final client. We supply our food to the individual agencies so that they can supply the foods to the communities, because like you said earlier, they know their communities better than we do. We just have the ability to move more product. So if we buy an 18-wheeler full of mac and cheese, for instance, we can take that and get it to all of our agencies or until we run out, and then they can get it to the families that are in need. So a lot of people think food bank versus food pantry. They're two totally different things. We're moving 25 million pounds. At the height of the pandemic, it was closer to 40 million pounds of food. Yeah. And pantries help a certain number of families every month. So in those families, let's say if you help 50 families a month, well, those families could be 500 people. So it's a little different. We look at the big picture and we help them support their communities.
It can be tough work being on the front lines or being in the trenches when it comes to work like this. Bootstrap, what keeps you there?
I drank the Kool-Aid. Literally, I mean, I love what I do. I mean, I get to try and make sure that I help somebody get a meal that didn't get one yesterday. The fact that we've been able to grow the program that I work in from point A to point B to 1 million pounds roughly to almost 6 million pounds of food, that right there is that's food that was just going to waste and should not have been to begin with.
To me, that's smart. That's smart thinking. That's smart doing. That's everybody working together so foods doesn't fall through the cracks, because I think people would be, appalled to hear at the number of wastes that we have in this country, which to me, it's just better organization, a little bit more strategic thinking, partnerships. So then that food can be better utilized for individuals and families who need it. I mean, why not? Right?
That's right.
Really, why not? Why
it's a
not
win-win.
It's a win-win in that situation. Okay, if people want to learn more about Mississippi Food Network, Bootstrap, how do they do that?
They could look us up online at msfoodnet.org. And there's going to be a lot of information in there. If someone is in need of services and they're looking for a pantry that's close by, there's a pantry finder on there. You just plug in your zip code. That was something that was done in partnership with Mississippi State's Extension Service. It's been very helpful for a lot of families. So I mean, they don't necessarily have to call us. They can just go, here's a pantry, and here's when they're going to be doing their distribution. I can go. It's just that's the easiest way. Or they could just look up our phone number and give us a call. We're also available on Facebook and stuff like that. Just
at least be curious about them. That's what I always say. If this is your first time hearing about them, at least Google them, sort of see what they're up to, get to know it. Also, if you're already connected to one of your pantries within your community, that's great, because then you're even on the more front lines, and just know that there is a great big sort of a system that's doing their best every day to make sure that those pantries stay, or food banks stay stocked and loaded, and even in the holidays. Well, Bootstrap, congratulations on 7 years at the Food Network.
Thank you.
Here's to 7 more. It's also tomorrow's your birthday, so happy birthday, buddy.
That's right. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You guys stick with us, though. We got more for you coming up next. Okay.